All right, let's face it. In high school, we all had that one English teacher. Well, that English teacher is me. I'm Brian Kulak, a career educator and author of The Hot Seat. Every week, I reconnect with former students, colleagues, and fascinating people to explore who they were, who they are now, and the wisdom they've gained along the way. Welcome to The Hot Seat. Last week, we talked about how I was best friends with Ryan's brother, and Ryan and I became close as a result. And now we have Jacqueline Wade on the call.
I didn't know my middle name was going to get dropped.
Well, that's how I originally knew you is Jacqueline, and that was kind of your handle for a while on a couple of your socials. But for the people who don't know about Jackie and I don't even know where to start. I guess we'll start in my class. So Jackie was a student in my class and on my newspaper staff.
Yes.
Wide-eyed, very excited, very enamored to be in both of those classes. And were you? I don't remember if did I have editors-in-chief back then? Were you editor-in-chief?
Oh my God, I hope I was, if you did. I don't remember.
All right.
It's something I would have gone for sure.
Exactly.
I feel like I got made fun of and called that, but I can't remember if it was a real thing.
I feel like I would have given it to you. Yeah, I mean, you're like perfect for it. So we're going to say that you were.
Okay, perfect. I love
that. Some people from way back in 2005 can confirm.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the story. Jackie was in my class. Then Jackie introduced me to my wife at the time, who was her cousin. Then Jackie was in my wedding to that very same cousin. And now Jackie and I are part of an ever-growing Dave Matthews Band caravan. We get together every year for a show or two. We have been unlucky in Dave Matthews' love for the past 4 or 5 years because we keep going on Friday and the sets are better on Saturday. But that's only part of the experience because really it's about us all getting together. And even, I guess, more impressively is that we have remained close, despite the fact that your cousin and I are no longer married. And
yes.
I think that's probably, sorry, for you and your family, but you and your brother have done such a great job of reminding me that we're all still very much connected. So I really appreciate that.
Yes.
Now, I know that you're a huge devotee of the show, so you already know this, but
oh yeah,
we start every show with who were you and who are you now? So fill us in, Jax.
Gosh, who I am and who I was. So I would say in high school, I was kind of exactly what you described. I was trying really hard to be successful in high school. I look back and there's some things that I regret a little bit, especially now with Tim's daughter's really into plays, and I am so jealous of her. I'm like, I should have done more of that. Abby too. Abby loved the plays. I'm like, I should have done more of that.
Yeah.
But I just really wanted to be successful. I did the paper. I was a morning announcer in 12th grade. I was on senior. Yeah, I was on senior council. So I tried to do all the things.
Yep.
I would say that some of that is still true. I do feel like I'm still very driven and want to be successful. But I feel like that was a different lifetime. Like it feels like a completely different lifetime. And I don't regret any of it. I wouldn't change a thing, but I do feel like, high school is high school and you kind of hopefully have a good experience and you leave that in the past and then you continue on with your journey. So I feel like I've lived 3 different lifetimes since high school. So
yeah, one of those we're going to get into in a second for sure, because I think it's fascinating and so much different than what a lot of the guests have talked about. But I also think that if you only identify yourself through high school, that means you peaked, and that's probably not good. It's really more of a guy thing, but I think that's not necessarily a good thing, and certainly not your thing at all. All right, so now, who are you now? Tell us about you now.
So now I work for Cox Automotive in Mannheim. I am a director of marketing. I do field marketing, so I've got auctions that I help support on the marketing side from as far north as New England, as far south as South Carolina, and then I've got some of the Midwest, like Ohio, Michigan, Indiana kind of area. So I travel a lot. It's a lot of travel, but asked me 5 years ago, I loved it. Now it can be a little bit cumbersome. but I get to spend a lot of time with my team out in the field, and then as well as our, stakeholders and, auction general managers and
Yeah.
people that I used to work with when I was at the auction. So I've been with the company I was talking to my mom about this earlier. It'll be 13 years in March.
Wow.
And I started there kind of on a whim because the person that I was dating at the time lived up by the auction. And so I was looking for jobs up there. And then obviously that did not pan out.
Right.
However, I feel like it was great because I've made a 13-year career there.
Yeah.
And this is my third role. So I've kind of moved up the rankings.
Right.
So yeah, and got my dog. She's sitting right next to me.
I'm surprised the dog didn't just bark at my dog barking. So
no, there's two other dogs here too. But
Okay.
spending time working, traveling, spending time with Tim, my friends. I mean, I've still got my 3 to 4 core best friends are all from high school or before.
Yep.
So, 3 of them I met in elementary school, one actually in Mr. Reeves' science class, and we've been best friends ever since. So it's been, it's good to have that same core group. Abby, what's up? You gonna ask some questions?
Abby is fully into junior year as of today. So we have a junior.
Oh my goodness!
Exactly. There's a lot of things going on over here, but as I talk about on most shows, could not be more proud of both of them, and you know how I feel
they're the
about
best.
Them. But I didn't know it was 13 years. I didn't know you traveled as much as you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not a lifestyle that I could ever live or understand. I mean, obviously I've been rooted for so long here. But that brings me to the first kind of point, which I'm really curious to hear about, because we never really got into it deeply when it happened. But so many of the guests who've been on the show so far have talked about how Audubon has sort of rooted them, right? So they figured out who they were at Audubon. They either left and came back quickly, or they never left at all. And they think about that time fondly. You just kind of alluded to that, but you're the opposite. You actually left to kind of figure things out, which so few people, I think, from our town do that. I don't know why. But I'm a terrible example because my whole life was a triangle. I had towns of Audubon and Collinswood, right? So I can't even speak to it. So love to hear about that, because you're really the first person besides Pat Barker going out to LA who left to kind of figure out who you were. So tell us about that journey.
Yeah, so I was doing an internship actually in Trenton. I worked for a minor league baseball team called the Trenton Thunder that I believe are still operating. I did 2 intern summers there. And I really enjoyed it, and I had a lot of fun. So I'm like, why not try to make this a career? So went to the baseball winter meetings in Indianapolis, and
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Quite literally was like speed dating, but for a job. And they had this huge room with all these little tables, and you would meet with one team, and then 20 minutes later you'd go to the next table and meet with another team. Yep. So I actually got 3 job offers while I was there, which was amazing, but none of them in New Jersey. So Indiana and 2 in Alabama. And so I ended up taking the one in Alabama, worked for the Montgomery Biscuits for 2 years. And so I did leave. It was a very hard transition. I struggled probably within the first week the most. I'm very close with my family, especially my parents. So that was a challenge. At the time I was dating Keith as well. So like leaving that whole relationship behind was a change. But once I kind of got rooted, this was kind of the second life that I've lived after high school.
Right.
I made so many friends, a few of which I still talk to and am friends with. And I feel like I did a lot of growth there for myself in terms of living completely on my own, dealing with all of my own bills, making sure I got up to get to work on time, like all of these like little things you don't think about. Yeah. So I did that for 2 years. I will say, looking back, like I feel like it was a part of my life where I thought I knew everything. Like I was the smartest person in the room at all times, which really worked against me. And looking back, like probably need to apologize to my old boss back then because I was not kind to her. And now like looking back, I'm like, being that age that she was, I'm like, man, like I was awful. Like I just thought I knew everything.
How old were you? 24?
22, 21, 22. Yeah. So kind of butted head, but learned a lot of tough lessons. Okay. but it was a lot of fun. I managed a team of high schoolers that were there to like do the
Oh,
on-field
nice.
entertainment between
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
games.
yeah.
So that was like being thrown into management, but with like, you know, a team of 16-year-olds is also a challenge in
Yeah, yeah,
itself.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, but it was a lot of fun. Like went on my first ever like canoeing experience, like a lot of things that I probably would never do again, but glad that I did.
Right.
And then after about 2 years, I started to get the itch. Like all of my friends were still back at home. My family was still at home.
Sure.
And I had actually touched base with someone I worked with at the Trenton Thunder, and he mentioned that, you know, he lived in Baltimore for a while and then he decided to move home. And I was like, oh, like kind of what made you decide to do that? And he's like, honestly, like I looked at my parents and I thought, you know, they're not getting any younger. I want to spend the quality years with them while I
Yeah.
have it. And that kind
Yeah.
of always stuck with me. So I kind of took a risk. And, you know, and the other thing about minor league baseball is it's a lot of kids your age that are coming in for their first jobs, but nobody really sticks around too long. Like
Okay.
everyone was from out of state.
Yeah.
Every single person that worked there for the most part. So as those people start to leave, you kind of like loses its luster. It was a
Yeah.
lot of very long days. We'd work the whole day in the office, and then if there was a game, we'd work the whole game. So it was a lot of long
Wow.
games. I think I was making like $28,000 a year at the time. Like it
Yikes.
was pennies. I mean,
Yeah.
Alabama, so a
Yeah,
little bit
Alabama. Yeah, yeah.
less
Yeah.
cost of living.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, you know what? This was great. I did it. I learned a lot, but now I think I want to go back. And so I did. And I actually left without a job. I had applied at a few places. And by the time I had moved home, I had gotten a job in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I didn't really like it. I ended up after a year going into my boss and being like, you and I both know I'm not good at this job. So I'm just going to see myself out. And that's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be that. So it was really fun. I'm sure there's things that I learned that I don't even realize that I learned
Right.
being down there, but I think that it set me up really well for when I came back here. And I'd
Right.
gotten my first dog down there. And bringing her back, and then like being in charge of her here, and like figuring everything out. So it was really a fun experience, but like looking back, like my friends will talk about things. I'm like, I don't remember that. And I don't have a
Yeah.
great memory as it is, but I'm like, I probably wasn't here for it. So I feel like I did miss
Right.
a
Right.
little bit
Right.
of the FOMO.
Yeah.
But it's something that I would never change. And everyone's like, ugh, Alabama. I'm like, it wasn't that bad, but I think it was also because I was 22 and I wasn't really like aware of like cultural stuff and
Right. Right.
politics and all of that.
Yeah.
So it didn't really impact me, but
I mean, it's a cool story because you came back for the reasons you came back, but it's more impressive that you left because no, I mean, like I
mm,
said, it's just so uncommon. You mentioned Keith, your high school boyfriend at the time. That must have been a really hard decision to leave because again, you were high school sweethearts, and I'm sure there were plans made, you know, for college and beyond. Um, and then you came back, and now you're living kind of this life that so many of the people we've talked about here on the show are living, but just a few years later because you left.
yeah.
I don't know how many people, again, myself included, would have the balls to do it. I mean, I don't know how long. How long did you hem and haw over it? Like, was it just like a gut thing? Like, I could get out of
It
here.
was so you know, my mom drove me all the way out to Indiana. My old boss that worked with me at the Trent Thunder, she came with me. And because it was such like a speed dating atmosphere, I felt like I didn't have time to like really think it over.
Uh,
Um, and if I wanted to work in minor league baseball, like here's three teams like offering me jobs to do that. So I kind of went out there knowing that if I got something that I was probably going to take it and there wasn't
right,
going to be much discussion.
right,
So I remember when they offered me the job, I remember going back to the hotel and actually calling Keith and being like, I have this opportunity. He was like, great, like do it. He was like super supportive.
right,
And we did, I did. And I think that was probably November, and I moved, I think like right after New Year's Day. So it was really
wow,
a
yeah, that's quick.
fast transition. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
I just decided, I think I took a night and then called them the next day and was like, yeah, I accept.
Wow.
So I didn't have a lot of time to think about it, which I think is a good thing because I think I would have psyched myself
Yeah, yeah,
out.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That speed dating thing probably did benefit you. I mean, if you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of time to think about it, you have less time to talk yourself out of it.
Right.
So you talked about Keith a little bit, but what about that core group of friends you just talked about? Like, how did you navigate leaving all them behind? Because again, you're one of the few people to have done it.
Yeah. My friends are amazing. I love my friends. I mean, there's a reason we've been friends for so long, and they're all super special in their very own way. Like they all bring something different to the table in terms of like being a good friend and being supportive. So they were all very supportive of it. I mean, they're all 22 as well, so they're living their best life. They're all getting jobs. They're,
Yeah. Yeah.
going out on the weekends. So I think the hardest part was just seeing all of that play out from afar,
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
being a part of it. So, I mean, other than them being super supportive, and like Facebook was big back then. So it was,
Yeah.
I see all of these memories pop up that are so cringy of like things that I posted and things that they posted on my wall, like come home. And I think that helped tug a little bit at me to come back, because
Yeah.
I missed all of that. I missed the friendship and the interaction, although I made really great friends out there. But overall, I mean, it was great. And when I came back, it was like nothing had changed. Not a
Yeah.
thing.
And do you ever see yourself leaving again now that you've done it once?
I think at this point, I had said to my brother a while ago, like, oh, if I'm still single and 30, like I'm moving to Nashville. And then that came and went. And like at like 34, he's like, what about Nashville? I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So I think that I really like where I am, because I'm close to my family now that Garrett's back, like
Yep.
close to
Yep.
him as well. I feel like I've kind of made my own life here, and I can't be anywhere that's landlocked. Like I've already decided, like I'm down at the beach now. I want to be at
Yeah.
the beach as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but like where I sit now, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, the family part is the part, right? That's the number one thing that probably drew you home, and certainly Garrett being so close. For
Yeah.
anybody who doesn't know, Garrett was out in Oregon for a while and
Yeah.
practicing law. Now he's back here as a lawyer. So the forced them kind of back together again. You're down the shore probably more often than the rest of us because your parents are down there. So
Hmm.
I think it is. I mean, it seems like it's a bit of a cool time to nest and kind of stay here, which kind of brings me to my next point. We joke about it, but we're living kind of parallel lives, you and I, right? So,
Yeah.
your boyfriend Tim is the me in this scenario, right? He's got two kids
Hmm.
my kids' age. You've been together just about as long as Dana and I, who's
Hmm.
living kind of your parallel life. I mean, I talked about this with John Dyer a couple weeks ago, and he explained it so well from the male perspective. Tell us about the female perspective. How are you guys handling it? How are you balancing it? How are you finding yourself as your boyfriend's the girlfriend of your boyfriend who has two kids?
Yeah. So it's been a very slow burn, which
Hmm.
I'm absolutely fine with.
Hmm.
Um, I at this point feel like I know his children, because of all of the things he's told me about them.
Sure.
Um, we've met twice now. We went to two Phillies games over the summer all together. And I just think overall, I think it's a really tough situation. I don't envy Tim at all for the
Right.
situation that he is in and has gone through. I give him a lot of credit for it, and I think he's really trying hard to navigate it and kind of roll into this new normal, so to speak, and make sure that like I'm very well taken care of. His kids are also priority number one, and
Yep.
I'll
Yep.
never ever want to be
Of
priority
course.
number one ahead of them.
Of course.
But I think so far it's good. I've, love his parents. His parents have been super
Oh,
supportive in
wonderful.
that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
My friends seem to like him, so that's a good thing. I think that the hardest part for me, and it's funny because I've actually talked to your daughter about this many times, of like making sure that I'm making an effort but also not overstepping.
Yep. Yep.
And I, at the end of the day, really just want to be their friend. And
Yeah.
it's intimidating. Like I just saw a video about like how teenagers are scary, and like they're always coming up with these new words, and like they're intimidating. And I just told Abby, like, I'm actually nervous. Like I'm literally scared. And I
Yeah.
would be scared of you if it was you in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's been really great. I mean, I think that it'll only go up from here. It's just finding that space that makes Tim comfortable, that makes me comfortable, that makes both of them comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it'll take a little bit of time, and that's absolutely okay with me.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, it was great to meet him at Dave. It was a long time coming. He fit right in. I'm not surprised to say. I think the one thing from Tim and my perspective, you touched on, which is really hard, is like, are we both giving you and Dana the time that you need? Because you are
mhm.
in constant competition. It's the wrong word, but it's actually the right word. But you're
Right.
competing
Yeah.
because on any given day when we're together, something could come up and
Mhm.
everything gets dropped.
Right.
So there's a guilt, I'm sure that Tim feels too, implicit to this situation where it's like, I mean, you know that if the phone rings, I'm going to take it, and that's
Hmm.
obviously the right thing to do. But I wonder, is there like a gut punch every once in a while when you're, out to dinner or whatever, or you're watching a movie and then he's got to get up and kind of be a dad?
Um, no, I wouldn't say it's a gut punch. I fully understand, and I went into this relationship understanding that and knowing
Yep,
that.
yep.
One of the first things I said to my mom when we started dating and she was asking about him is I said, I feel like I know that I'm not number one in his life for good reason, but he's never made me feel like I'm number two. You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, there's those things are always going to pop up. And I think there's been like one or two times that I've gotten emotional about a situation, but it's more like my internal, like, oh my God, they hate me. And oh
Yeah,
my God,
yeah,
is this
yeah.
ever going to get better? Like, and not that it's that they hate me. That's not the case. Obviously it's new. My
Yeah,
parents are
right.
not divorced, so I've never
Yeah,
gone
yeah,
through
yeah.
what they're going through.
Right.
And I feel like that can be really difficult to
Yeah.
navigate. And I'm not going to try to pretend like I know what that's like. So I go into it with that understanding. And I think I'm like a pretty easygoing person. So
Yeah.
like, there's not much that can really upset me. Especially when it comes to Tim and his family, and it's a slow roll, and that's okay. Like
Yeah.
I'm in no rush at all.
Yeah.
Like at this
Right.
point, there's nothing to rush for. So
Did you consciously have to pause when considering actually dating him or getting serious with him? Like, was there like a pause in your brain where it's like, man, this is a heavy lift, or not really at all?
I think that I probably acknowledged that is going to be, continue to be a heavy lift, but that didn't really stop me because I've known him for a long time. We used to work together at the auction, and that's how we actually met. And we worked together, and then he took a new job, and then I took a new job, and we kind of just stayed in touch. So
Yep.
I feel like I knew who he was for the most part,
Yeah, that's super
from like a
helpful.
friend coworker perspective.
Right.
But I think that yes, like I probably did take pause, but it was never a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
deal breaker.
Yeah. I mean,
Otherwise,
that's
I wouldn't be sitting here.
yeah, exactly right. And I think that's what Dana would say too, is like, you know what you're getting into, you're willing to do, especially when you start to realize that you're in love, and like that is what's driving everything forward. And everybody who's in any kind of relationship, whatever it may be, knows that there's going to be competing forces and there's going to be challenges and chaos, but everything else will level out if that's your person. And certainly in
Right.
our case, that's the case. She's certainly my person. So it's just such what are the chances that our relationship started in 2004 or
I
five,
know.
whatever, in that way, I remember you sat in the very back right way back then. And now here we are, whatever, 20 years later, talking about it, and you're living parallel. I mean, it's crazy.
It's
But I'm just so
wild.
thankful, like I say on the show every week, that you and your family, in particular, like you guys in the president hands, obviously have been just so wonderful in continuing to reach out and check in and that kind of thing. And I'm so happy to see everybody from afar. But it's got to be challenging. So, like, that's my last question before your hot seat question is it hard for you to continue this friendship despite the fact that it's
No.
part of okay, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't it's Ryan had the same question last week, like, how did you possibly respect me when I was at your house with Lou drinking and playing horseshoes? Like,
Yeah.
that must have been hard. So, like, I'm glad to hear you say it's not hard, but I guess my question is why isn't it?
I feel like I feel like you and I have kind of been through it in this
Yeah.
lifetime. Like I know I still mess with you on this, but I like still remember you calling me up to your podium and being like, "Can you do me a favor, like not give my personal information out to people in
I
your
knew this was
family?"
gonna come up.
And
Yeah,
I
I was such a
still
jerk.
to
I'm
this
so
day,
sorry.
like I still laugh about it because like now, and so my response to everyone, to all 11 people listening, is you're welcome for your children because they're the best thing. They're the
They
best
are.
two humans ever.
They are.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, I think that, I mean, for me, I feel like we jived in school. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like you were probably one of my favorite teachers, and probably class wise as well. Like, I loved the paper class.
Yeah.
And I loved English. I loved doing like our senior videos and like hot seat and all these things. It was fun. It was interesting. And I did watch Rise last week, and I feel like a lot of what he said I agreed with in
Ryan
terms of
Boland?
like you as a teacher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Flippy.
Oh, Ryan Flippy. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I just feel like you as a person, like you're a great dad, and I think that was all very clear. It was never a decision like when you and Al split up of like,
Yep.
now I got to pick sides. It was never
Right.
that. And I remember when you got an invite, I don't know if it was, I think it was Kate's wedding, and you were like, "Oh my God, like I got an invite to Kate's wedding." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, like why wouldn't you have gotten an invite to Kate's wedding?" So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it was easy. I mean, we spent so many hours and days together in Cape
Yeah.
May. Like
Right.
one of
That's
my
true.
fondest memories of that house was having Coleman out on the front deck in his like coral
His
shorts.
shirt. Yeah.
And every person that walked by you asking, "Excuse me, can you tell me if this is red or coral?" And it just like turned into this hour-long like
We
thing.
had a
It was so much
scoreboard.
fun.
It was so
Yeah.
much fun. Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like that it wasn't really even like a transition. Like it's just like, okay, this life event has happened. This
Yeah.
hasn't worked out, but everyone's still very accepting. I mean, my mom especially is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
accepting, like loves you and your family. So
Yeah.
so I think it was easy. I really
Yeah.
do.
I don't know
Yeah.
how. I mean, I think I would struggle. I haven't really had a similar situation in reverse. But I think, my relationship with your brother is so important to me too. Just kind of like the evolution of like him being actually, he was in my hockey camp a million years ago.
Mm,
And then,
funny.
in class and, he comes to Dave's shows. So I'm just so thankful that it continues to go that way. So whether it was
Yeah.
easy or hard, I'm just so thankful for it. I'm so thankful that, we're still friends and remain friends, and
Yeah.
look forward to getting, drinks with you and Tim to kind of break
Yeah.
this down even further. As you probably know, I pick two questions each week, and I try to pick the questions based on the guest. In the original show with Steve Kloon, he picked a number, which is how you guys did it back in the day. And I don't think he was super happy with his question. It was
Oh,
a better talker or listener. And
okay.
not a bad question, but at the gate, I probably could have done a better job of finding a question for him. So that's what I did for you. If you don't like the first one, veto it just like you're a senior in 2012.
Okay. Okay.
But this one I picked, and you actually talked about it a couple times. What have your parents each taught you specifically and differently? So, like, what have you
Mm,
learned from your dad that you haven't learned from your mom, and vice versa?
that's a great question.
Because I know they're both so well, so I'm really curious to see what you say here.
So I would say before I like specifically answer,
Yeah.
I am a lot like my dad.
Okay.
In terms of like he and I would both rather like be at home by ourselves than like out in public. Like my brother and my mom love public gatherings. They love talking to people. They could talk to a wall.
Yeah.
My dad, I'm very much like my dad in that way. But and in terms of like sense of humor and all of that as well. But then my mom, I feel like taught me a lot of like the life lessons. There's actually a song by not Belinda Carlisle. What's her name? I can't think of her name right now. I love her. But she has a song, and it actually, I think it like breaks it down really well. So I would say what I learned from my dad is like to always not take things too seriously. I remember like in college, I would call him if I thought I did bad on a test, and I'd melt down. And he's like, even still has emails from me of like me melting down. And he would like talk me off of a ledge. This is not the end of the world. Like he's
Yeah.
very, I feel like very level headed in that
He
way, but can
is.
also be extremely silly. So I think that he taught me to not really take life too seriously. But he also is one that, like, in a way that I'm like him, is that he and I, like, never really get super mad.
Hmm.
But there's, like, one time a year where he and I will blow up at each other. And then, like, in 5 seconds, it's like, okay, do you want to talk about it? And he's like, yeah, let's talk about it. This is this is where I was coming from. Great. And it's squash. So
That's
he and I are very,
so
yeah,
funny.
we're
Yeah.
very similar in that way. Where like my mom, when she gets upset, gets very quiet and like holds it in for a while. And I can't do that. I
Yeah.
trapped one of my friends from Alabama actually in a car. I made her drive home from wherever we were going because she and I had gotten in an argument the night before, and I made her drive so she couldn't pretend to sleep, and so we could talk about it. And she's like, "You're so
Wow.
annoying," and I'm like,
Genius.
"I
Yeah.
just need to talk this out. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like conflict."
Yeah.
But then I would say, like, from my mom's perspective, she taught me like all of like the life skills. She's our entire life, like, I don't know a time like we ended a conversation or like left somewhere where she wasn't telling me like I love you. And my dad says that too.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's constant. She is there for me at the drop of a hat. I remember when I moved to Alabama and I was like devastated, and she like, again, every single day would call me like 3 or 4 times a day, like, are you okay? Until things started to
Yeah.
we're down. Even in college, like when I moved into college, everyone was in Cape May for Labor Day, and I was in college, and again melted down.
Yeah.
And she drove to Kutztown the next day to spend the day with me. So she's just like, she's taught me the meaning of like what true unconditional love is,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
how to show up for people in different
Yeah.
ways that are ways to show love. You know what I mean? Besides just saying like love you all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And she is definitely like, she is the voice of reason, I would say. She gives good advice. And I think that I do probably, when I do get hot-headed, like I do get that probably from her a little bit more than my dad, but my dad is the same. So I'm making myself sound like a really angry, like constantly
No, you're
angry
not.
person.
No.
So yeah, so I would say, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that um, I think that my dad knows how to like interject comedy when necessary.
I was waiting for you to say
But then
that. Yeah.
he also doesn't know when to turn it off either. That's why I'm in this room right now, because I didn't want him coming in and being like hello and popping on and telling a terrible joke or something. But I like to think that I'm a lot like him in that way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that he's definitely more the type that is, don't take life too seriously. Here's how you're going to get over it. You know, think about like an hour from now, this presentation is going to be
Yeah.
over. You're not going to have to think about it. Like very practical in that way.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And then my mom's taught me everything else, from like balancing a checkbook to taking stains out of things, like
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that, and everything in between.
Yeah. I mean, I think I saw your mom hop on. I hope she's still here. I mean, when kids talk about their parents the way you just did, I mean, there is nothing better. Like it's,
Oh yeah.
and at our age, like it's so much easier to do than when, my kid's age or Tim's kid's age. It's just not something that's normal. I think you obviously kept communication open. You guys talked through a lot of different things growing up, which makes this moment right now easier for you to say, well, these are the things I learned. You had a faraway glance when you were
Yeah.
thinking about your parents and you were smiling. I mean, that's the good stuff. So
Yeah.
this is the first time parents have really come up on here, and I mean, I did choose it because I know them, but I kind of had a feeling you would talk that way about them. I'd be curious to see what G would say if I
Yeah.
asked the same question. So I'll have to text him after and see what he says.
Yeah.
But your parents are awesome. I was waiting for you to talk about your dad's sense of humor, which is so dry. He'll
Oh my God.
he'll say it, and then like there's a pause, and I'm like, wait.
Wait, is he serious?
Is he serious? Am I supposed to laugh at it? Like, I don't know what to do with this. But he always checked in about my stupid old man baseball. Your mom is always the first to hug me when she sees me. And you're right. She's always been so wonderful with my family, which,
Yeah.
again, we're a couple degrees separated there. But, like, my family asks about you guys all the time. And,
Yeah.
it's really special. And I think your Uncle John has a lot to do with that, too, because he's meant so much to my family and done so many wonderful things for my family. He's such a great person. So I think that's the apple not falling too far from every various
Oh
tree.
yeah. Yeah.
But I do think that your journey is it's impressive, but it's also a little intimidating because I couldn't do it, and I don't mind saying that. I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have left. So I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about that tonight, because I think there's probably a lot of people now at our age, and I'm looking at the list of people who have hopped on and off, in their 30s and 40s, who are either like, oh my God, I wish I would have done that, or there's no way. There's no way. I can do
Yeah.
that. And just kind of see you as somebody who's inspirational that way. And now you're back, which there is no more full circle person really that I know than you, because you're happy and you're grounded and you have this wonderful relationship, and you have this family that you are so close with. So I'm just really happy for you, and you know that how much I care about you. And this is a weird one, only because I see you all the time. Not all the time. I wish it were more, but when I do, we just pick up like we always do,
Yeah.
which is so great. So anything, I'm gonna kind of sign off and let the birds kick off.
Yes.
Any last thoughts from you?
No, this has been really great, and thank you for having me on. I won't lie, I was nervous. Ksenia was like, "Are you nervous? Are you ready?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm just gonna wing it at this point. Like, it is what it is." But no, I think this is great. I'm super happy for you. You've been talking about this book forever, and I'm so glad you were able to do it, and then like also promote it in this way is really a really cool way to do it. And no, I'm glad that our friendship continues, and I'm
Yep.
excited to go forward and see like what the next chapter of my life looks like. But hopefully you're in it,
Yeah, I was
and
going to say, I think there's a pretty good chance you're
yeah,
going to be living this parallel life for a long time if it
yeah,
works out. I hope
which is
so.
awesome.
I
Yeah,
know. All right, go Birds. Thank you for
go
coming on and
birds.
coming on early. I
Of
appreciate it.
course, of
All right,
course.
I'll
This
see you
is so
later,
much
Jack.
fun.
Thanks.
Thanks,
All
Bry.
right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks, as always, for tuning in. The Hot Seat is executive produced by myself, Brian Kulak, with podcast production services provided by La Vinci Productions. Before you go, here's how to stay connected. Follow me on Instagram at Brian_Kulak. Check out more resources on my blog over at briankulak.net. Pick up a copy of The Hot Seat or my other book, Level Up Leadership, both available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And please, if you found value in today's conversation, leave us a rating and a review. It truly helps others discover these stories. Share this episode with someone in your life, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another conversation in The Hot Seat.